In this series of videos, we're going to be discussing Inkscape vector drawing program. And this is the first in a series, and the videos will go step by step, getting more and more complicated. This first video, we're going to focus on the very basics of this program. Now, these videos are focused on using Inkscape with the ArcLight Dynamics plasma cutting system. Inkscape has a lot of features, and there's a lot of options that the more you get into it, the better you're going to be at doing artwork and custom sign work. But Inkscape is a really key program for anyone who has one of our plasma cutters who's really wants to get the full use out of it. So you can download Inkscape. It's open source. There's no license. You can get it straight off the internet, no cost. So first, let's pull in a file here. So I have a couple images that I pulled off the internet. Generally, you're going to want to embed it. Oops. So now what we have in here is a pixel image. If I zoom in here, these are just pixels. Okay, there are no lines around this object. So our first step is going to be to vectorize it. And what vectorizing is going to do is it's going to draw a line between the white and the black. And it's going to give this a shape that can be recognized by the computer. So to do that, all we have to do is select our image so it has the box around it. I'll zoom out some more so you can see a little better. So it's selected, and then go up to Path, and we're going to go down to Trace Bitmap. And then when I bitmap, you can bring a JPEG, a bitmap, a GIF image, any type of pixel image into Inkscape, and you'll be able to do the same process. So once you get to here, we're going to be working with this brightness cutoff mode. That's the main mode you're going to be using when particularly working with black and white images, and that's what I recommend you start out with. You do have the ability to use color images, but it gets a little more complicated. You can use these other methods, edge detection and picking up on the individual colors to do that. But initially we're going to work with the brightness cutoff. So this threshold here, this is going to determine how sensitive the vectorizer is to the edge of the pixels. And basically, usually I find increasing it just a little bit tends to smooth the lines out and improve the quality of my vectors and minimize the number of nodes in my file, thereby making it easier for the plasma cutter to cut it. So I've raised my threshold. All I have to do is click OK. So now it's vectorized the image. And if I click on it, I can drag the vector image off to the side. Now once I've done this, I no longer need this window open. I can close it. So let me zoom in here and show you the difference. Over here we have pixels. Over here we have vectors. Nice smooth lines. So and if I go over here and click on my Edit Paths tool, all the points will appear. So first off, before we go any further, we're going to get rid of the original. So I just click on the original. I can right click. I cut them out of there. So now I have basically lines around this object. And at this point, I'm ready to scale it and send it to SheetCam to cut out as a DXF file, as long as I don't have to make any modifications. Now there's a few things that would need to be modified in this image. If you notice here, this antler is not attached. So that basically what we're seeing here is the white is a cut and the black is going to be steel. So if I wanted that antler to be attached, I would have to connect it to the rest of it. And we'll get to that in just a second. But I want to talk real briefly about vectorizing, one other aspect of it that is important to understand. So let me bring another file in here. So import another file in. Well, actually, I'm not gonna bring it in. I'm just gonna open it up. We're gonna look at it in a photo editor. So I want to talk about anti-aliased versus non-anti-aliased text, or not text necessarily, but pictures in general. And anti-aliased basically has a fuzzy edge on it. And what this does is it smooths out the pixel edges and gives you a smoother, it's commonly used in text, but you will also find it in certain other images on the internet. Now, as you're looking around, I can go on the internet and just download any images from Google. I'll show you that in just a second. But you want to pay attention to whether it's anti-aliased or not, because this anti-aliasing, what this is going to do is allow the vectorizer to create a smoother path through the edge of these pixels. When you don't have these blurred kind of edges, it's very easy for the vectorizer to pick up very exactly on these hard black and white edges. And so you will end up with lots of little points in here. That can make for a very difficult cut for the plasma cutter, because the cutter is trying to move through these little points and it just cannot get up to correct speed. And so you end up with a very poor cut. This is going to be able to much more easily vectorize smoothly and get a better shape out of it. Now, the other thing that plays into the quality of your vectors is going to be the resolution. If you take a very low resolution image and vectorize it, sometimes you will not get a very good image. Sometimes it will be a very poor quality vector that's all bumpy and just doesn't look good. But if the image is not anti-aliased, and even if it's a high resolution, there's a very good chance you will get a poor quality vector out of it. So just a little tip to watch out for. So just as a side note, I mentioned finding these images. You know, where do you go to find these images that I'm working with? I can type in basically anything I'm looking for. Oops, I don't know if I spell it right. But basically type in anything and then go to images, and then you're going to modify your search tools, and you're going to set the type to clip art, and then you're going to set your color to black and white. And this is going to give me nice solid black and white images that are very easy for me to vectorize. Now, generally, the higher the resolution, the better. And so sometimes I will set this size to medium or large, so I can kind of rule out the low resolution images from the get-go. You know, but any images like here, this one for instance, this one, any of these, they're going to be very easy for you to cut out. Now, anything that's grayed like this is not going to cut out. It's not going to vectorize well. You need solid black, solid white in order for this to work well. And as a side note, you know, whatever images you choose to work with, please make sure you have the rights to reproduce them if you're going to be selling them. There are many sites online that will sell images. The big names would be Shutterstock, And there's a lot of sites that are going to be able to also, you're also going to be able to find free clip art or free range clip art, like Clicker, and there's some a few others, but just make sure you got the artist, give the artist their due when using internet art. Okay, so let me get back over to Inkscape here. So basically, at this point, if I zoom in on this guy, he's got points around him. Now, all those points can be modified and adjusted. There's all these tools up here. There's all kinds of ways to manipulate. I can just grab this thing and move it, adjust it. And we're going to go into some more details on this in later videos. But for right now, I'm just going to show you, his main focus of this video is just vectorizing. So, and I want people to take it one step at a time. So once your image is vectorized, your last step is going to be to scale it. So with this selected up here, your select and transfer objects tool, or your arrow, you can click on your image and select it. Shows the bounding box. Okay, I can, of course, as normal, move this around. You have the ability to copy it. You can make two of them if you want. And then you can, of course, modify it, scale it. Currently, the way we're scaling right now is it's not locked. Okay, so I can kind of distort the shape of it. Okay, so let me undo that for just a second and go back. Up here are your scale bars. Okay, right now they're set to pixels. We're going to want to change that to inches. Okay, and then we're going to lock our scales together so that when they scale, they don't distort the image. So let's just say I wanted to put this on my wall. I'm going to make it, let's say 15 inches wide. So now we're 15 inches by 24 inches. That would be a good size piece. Okay. So if all I wanted to do is cut this out the way it is, I'm done. I got it scaled. It's ready to go. My final step is going to be to go to File, Save As, and we're going to save it as a DXF file, R14 DXF file. Now, when you save it, you're going to use the LW polyline output, which will be the default option checked here, and you're going to have to change your base units to inches, provided you're using inches, of course. And then click OK. And it's going to save the image for you. And that image you're going to be able to open up in Inkscape. Or, I'm sorry, SheetCam. So just let me show you that. If I pull it up Inkscape here, or SheetCam, go Import Drawing. And we're going to make sure we're set to DXF files. I have my DXF file right there. And there's my image, ready to cut out. So let me close this for a second. Go back to Inkscape. So basically, that's the end of this first video. So watch the subsequent videos to learn. We're going to be addressing how do you join that antler to the rest of the deer, and some of the other techniques you can use to, say, add lettering to this or combine this with another image to make your own custom sign work.